everyone. Well, it's 2025. At what point, and I always say this every year, at what point do you stop saying Happy New Year? Jamie, great to be back with you. I have missed you. I have missed our because we
Happy
were
New
a bit
Year.
longer, aren't we? In terms of, I just go, well, it's 2025. What the year brings, and it's how you deal with it that makes you happy. There you go. That's my philosophy on Happy New Year. Um, Ours certainly got off with a bang. How about you?
Happy New Year, Jill. Yeah, mine's good. Mine's good. This is the day after I put a video out that's gone slightly mad, um, and actually probably just from I don't know what's happened. I do know what's happened. I don't know what's
Is this
happened.
the
My
one? Is
head.
this the recent one? I don't know which episode on YouTube that is showing you about you're going to remake a
Uh,
bench, a work bench.
yes,
It's brilliant.
yes.
I think you have found a great format that is going to make people come back. I watched it this morning and I was like, oh, I'm really excited to see what Jamie does next because you're actually teaching people. So anybody go to Jamie's YouTube channel and I can see how your format has changed and I can see why you're getting more popular. Of course, more people, the algorithm, more people comes
You
up.
see, you're worrying me because you're saying how my format has changed. I just film sort of what's happening. I occasionally have to do like an infill piece, and then a day later or the same day or whatever, I go through that day's worth of filming and I start editing one video after another, and then I clip them all together
Well,
and make
when
a
I say how it's changed, it's I'm talking about if you go back right back when you first started. It looks a different
oh
format
right.
because you're coming up to the workroom every day, you're unlocking, you're coming in, you're saying hello. So,
Yes,
and
yeah.
you
I feel it's a good start.
yeah,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
great because I want to see what you're doing next. And you're teaching us by doing a project of your own. I mean, it's like coming into your workshop for the day and seeing what's going
Yes.
on. And I think that's great. So I can see why it's attracting more people. Even if you're not a woodworker, it's quite, oh, I want to see what Jamie's been up to. When you've been outside and you were doing your the video before Christmas was great. But of course, the algorithm starts to
Yes.
pick up and then promote you, doesn't it? So,
Yeah, and those were very quiet videos. They didn't take off much. They've not done well. Um, and what I'm finding is happening is I've been so because I've got a number of students, private paid students that come to our workshops for evening classes or
mm,
afternoon classes. If there's only one or two there, and this doesn't happen very often, it's almost like hire a bench. They know what they're doing now. They've been coming to me for long enough to, I might be so I might be on a bench and I might be doing, say, the legs for a stool like I was before Christmas. And it's easy to put a leg in the bench and shape the leg and do things like that and concentrating on the joint or whatever. And that's something that I can just play around with on the bench with the tools and not need to focus on worrying about what I'm doing. It's just a simple task. That's all right.
simple to
I
you.
wouldn't do, yes. Yeah, well, yeah. No complications.
Mm.
There's nothing bad. There's nothing hard about it. There's no, I don't need to be totally focused on it as far as thinking of the next stage, the
Mm.
next stage, the next stage, the next stage. The bench you will see, oh, I will write things down on a
Mm.
whiteboard because I don't think people will get how much thought has to go into making one change.
Mm.
It has to be, everything has to be thought of. And when you've got those 10 things written down, then people will go, blimey, he's got a lot going on. Yeah, well, this is what you have to do. When I'm doing these stools and things, I've got to say I've got a couple of guys in, I can walk away from them. And that's what's happened. I've got a chair with a seat done and four legs finished. Right.
Yeah.
I've got a stool, seat done, four legs. That's great. I've got another stool, three legs, need the legs turning, so I'm not going to touch those. I've got all these little things that are halfway through. But I found over Christmas, because what's happened is I've been getting through firewood because we're middle of
Yeah.
winter, and I'm using quite a lot of the firewood. And I I came up with four reasons why things I needed to do in the workshop. One of them was all this beach worktop is taking up valuable space and it feels messy and it's bothering me. The second, I've got more people wanting to come on the workshops, so um
More
I
space.
need another bench.
Yeah.
A bench for me, really. A bench for me to be on while there's three people there, because I want to get on with things too. I don't see it as, and this bothers me sometimes when they've got guys with me. So is sometimes I think I shouldn't really be getting on with stuff. I should be hanging around and looking at them and whatever. But also there's the flip side of that. I should be leaving them to do things. I don't want them to make big mistakes. I'd never want anybody to
Mm.
make a big mistake, but I want to catch them before they make a mistake. But then if you catch them before they make a mistake, are you so I'm constantly watching anyhow, I needed a bench.
But that's how
And
we
that's what I'm
learn.
doing.
But that's how we learn. So
It
so
is.
you've got a
And
new
so
project on the go for the year.
yeah, it's I'm actually looking forward to it, and hopefully it might be a better direction for the YouTube channel because it's something useful. And I hope, this is something else I'll be putting in there, Jill, which might help you as well. This is a bench I'm working on. It could quite easily be an old table.
Hmm.
It could quite easily be a Facebook Marketplace find. Somebody leaves one outside on the side of the
You
road
pick it up.
table
Yeah.
that you look at and think, well, that's a bit square. That's a bit utilitarian. Well, actually, it just needs a rail here and a rail there, and maybe make this thicker, and maybe then I could put a vice on it, and then suddenly you've got a bench at whatever level. So
Absolutely.
that's yes, that's what I.
Absolutely. And funnily enough, that's the client I had just before we started recording this is talking about what I really need in there is a workshop bench. I don't need an office to do crafty stuff. I want it for a woodworking bench, and my back's killing me when I'm leaning over. So absolutely, it's all of that. And I actually
Right.
I was really chuffed. I sold one of my little cabinets that I had upcycled and done decoupage and had completely
Oh,
transferred.
brilliant! Is
Yeah, I sold
yeah,
that. It wasn't for a huge profit, and I think I put on the post on Instagram. People ask me why do I do it if I'm not actually making a huge profit out of it? And Jamie, it's like, well, why do you read a book if you're not making a huge profit out of it? It's a
I know.
hobby. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm not having to do it, to earn money. If I can make something, don't get me wrong, if I could sell it for double the price, I would. But I see it as I enjoy it. I'm learning all the time. I'm learning new skills. I'm saving, which is important, which is why I loved your project this morning. You're using drawers from here, you're using recycled goods
I
from
know.
there, you're using something from somewhere else. And I'm very much into that. And I think that's also important that people can see, don't just throw stuff out. You
Yeah,
can use it for other things.
yeah.
But the reason that I do it is I was doing project after project because I was thinking, oh, this is fun. I'll get another piece of furniture. Oh, I'm enjoying doing this. And actually, then I'm stockpiling a whole load of finished furniture. And Clive's like, we can't keep doing this. And even I'm thinking, I can't keep filling the workshop because it's something that I enjoy doing. So that's when I started to
Yeah.
think, and I thought, for me, as long as I can cover the cost of the bits that I buy, then that's all well and good. I've lost you, Jamie. Well, having just had a power outage, Jamie, I'm going to try and remember where we got to, and you just disappeared from the screen. I thought, what a way to start the new year. I've said something and he's pushed off already.
Honestly, you didn't upset me with anything you said. I think I knocked my power cable, and then Windows decided I'm going to update it. I'm just like, no, not now. A
Technology.
little bit
Anyway, I
of
think as I was saying, the
life, eh?
reason that I do my stuff is one, I worked out I've saved over 30, well over 30 pieces from going to landfill at the moment. So for me, that's
Hey,
it. And the joy when people do come and see it and go, oh, this is fantastic. I mean, my chairs, that person just loves those that I did. And I think that's the reason that I do it. I understand a lot of people need to run it as a business. I'm not running it as a business. If I
yes,
could make a little bit of money out of it,
no,
of course I would love to, but it's not my main driver for doing it.
yeah,
It's just that
yeah.
I can't keep doing it and
That's
keeping it stockpiled in
sorry.
the garage.
No, you can't. You know what though? That for me, you going back to um how some people feel that they've got to do things. We discussed things earlier about whatever. It doesn't have to be money. It can be. that when you've got 30
Yeah.
pieces you've saved now. Now that to me that's a milestone. That's great. And to be able to say to somebody, yeah, okay, I've not made much profit, but I've enjoyed it. I've
Hmm.
enjoyed the journey. I've enjoyed
Hmm.
meeting people because I mean my accountant, he's 80 something. And I said, so when are you going to stop? And he said, why would I stop?
Mm.
I love what I do. I love what I do and I
Yeah.
love meeting people. And I think if you're upcycling, recycling, if that makes that difference, but you've got a number attached to it, doesn't have to be pounds, it can be
Absolutely.
pieces.
I mean, I'm not covering my
Brilliant.
time as such,
I'm
but
off.
then I think, but people do hobbies and don't think about it in terms of, well, I'm
Exactly.
not covering how much I'm earning here,
Exactly.
making whatever it is, whether I'm knitting something or crocheting something or out in the garden or whatever. I just enjoy doing it. I love the process. I love the learning. And for me, one of the big drivers is that's less stuff
Mm.
going to landfill. And if it helps other people, then
Yeah.
great. Yeah, having said that, we did literally start the new year off with a bang. So I'm changing direction here, Jamie. A
Yes, he
complete
says.
bang.
Go
So
back.
we
No, you've
started
started with this.
with Jackson went, so now it's time to do all the washing of the sheets and the towels and the Christmas washing that's been piling up. And the washing machine literally went bang. It sounded like somebody thrown a whole load of pebbles in with the washing. The machine was walking its way. Luckily, we could get into the utility room because it was walking its way across the utility room floor. And there was a real
Wow.
strong smell of acrid kind of electrical coming from it. I was like,
Yeah.
no.
Mm.
So, okay, yes, we could look at getting it repaired, but I know from last time it was really on its last legs and started to do the investigating a new washing machine. Oh my goodness. Makes me realize how
Why is it
old
bad?
our washing machine is. Jamie, I started doing, and that's why I think I put a post on Instagram saying, "Oh, this has gone bang. Any recommendations?" And two makes really came out. I won't say all the ones that people said avoid, avoid,
Yeah.
avoid. Two that did come out, and I'm not being paid and I'm not being sponsored. Which reminds me, I've got to mention Jess Harvey in a bit. I'm not being paid. I'm not being sponsored to mention it, but they were Bosch and Miele. And people were saying, everybody that was recommending was recommending either of these. I can't quite afford the cost of the Miele, they're quite expensive. But I started looking at these
Yeah.
machines and the spec. Oh, the spec is you can start it from your smartphone. It's got connectivity. You can have
No.
an app to download it and change the programs. And
No.
I was like, what? And then you look, there's no, I'm
No.
not joking, Jamie. And then there's like a million programs and
No.
different temperatures you can have,
Really?
and it can do this and it can do that, and it's got an inverted motor, so it'll be really quiet. And you can have this, and it's most of them now are just cold feed, so they've obviously caught up with energy being energy efficient. So a lot of them are just cold feed, and you can change the temperature, and you can do this, and you can do that, and you can put a delay on it, and you can start it obviously at night when people now are with quieter
Yeah.
electricity, and it's got all these flipping
Yeah.
programs. And most people, how many programs do most? I'm having a rant now. Do most people use on their washing machine?
Spin.
Oh, there was
Rain.
another one when I looked at one of the reviews. The new washing machine won't spin one item. So if you've hand washed something and somebody I think had done their bath mat or whatever, wanted to spin it, it wouldn't spin. And when she got all the way back to the manufacturer, it's because new machines don't like to spin one item because of the balance that they've got, and therefore one item doesn't do the
Yeah, I get
balance.
that.
Yeah, there is some stuff which I think is quite clever. So some pluses that the machines you can stop once they're washing when you discover the sock that's fallen on the stairs or down the hallway that needs to be added into the wash. Yes, you can do that. So that's happened to me on many occasions. So
Okay.
that's quite a plus that even though the program started
Yeah.
that you can do that. A lot of them now will, when you put the load in, they measure the load and the weight of the load and therefore how much water they're going to need, etc., etc. So you kind of go, okay, I can see that on the greenery type.
Can I just say what I'm
I
thinking?
just want a machine to wash my
More
clothes.
to go wrong.
Yes,
More to
that
go
was
wrong.
exactly all these computer programs now on
Yeah.
these machines, even
Yeah.
the basic ones. I just want a knob that I can go turn, turn,
How much
turn,
is,
you know.
yeah. Come on, Jill.
Well,
How much is a
machines
washing
can
machine these
machines
days?
can start, let's be fair, around
Mm.
the sort of 279, 300
Oh,
price bracket,
wow.
but they'll go up to well over £1,000. in terms of machine. So I was like, gulp.
No,
And
no.
it did make me laugh, when people are, and there is a point to this as well. It does make me laugh and I think, and I used to think my little old twin tub with my wooden tongs when I used to have a
My
twin
mom, yeah,
tub,
yeah.
and the
Out
wash
of one
went
into the
one, and
other.
then when it finished, you
Yeah.
dragged it out, you stuck it into the spinner, and off it went with a tube into the sink to drain the water.
Yes,
I was under the
yes.
illusion all those years ago that my clothes was clean. Little did I know, that I should have been having all these temperature controls, different programs. And I said to
Yeah.
Clive, I understand how my grandmother felt now. This is how old I am. When we said to her to go from her boiler and wringer, she used to drag a boiler out, put the washing in the boiler, and then we had the wringer with the bucket on, the laundry basket on the other side.
Yeah.
And we used to help her wring it through the two
I
rollers, not even had
yes.
a spinner. So I said, I feel
No.
like my grandmother. I understand how she felt when we tried to get her to buy a washing machine. It's like this new
Yeah.
fandangle thing. Um, but it did also bring to mind stuff that now occurs as you get older. And, one lady was saying, oh, a couple of people said, get a Miele. They'll last, mine's lasted 27 years, mine's lasted 25 years. And there's Clive going, Clive, when I said to Clive about it, he said, yeah, that's great. Save up for a really good quality one. He said, I'm not sure I'm going to be worrying about my washing when I'm 100 plus. And that's a
Yeah.
point that starts to arise as you get much older. When I say older, you
Yeah.
start thinking when people talk about 20 or 30 years' time, it does occur to
Yeah.
me, I'm going to be around at that time. Or when you hear things on the news that say, oh, this will be done by 2050, whatever, kind of go, am I going to be around for that? I actually probably won't be.
I know.
So it was an interesting. I have decided on a Bosch. So I went mid-range, nothing too fancy. I asked a couple of repair people, and they all recommended these are the ones that can be repaired much easier.
There you go.
So I thought, okay, that goes for me. That's mid-range,
There you go.
and I'll go for that one. So I'll keep you posted on how the washing machine goes.
Well,
Yours?
I've got
Go
questions. I've
on.
got questions for you. What did you do with your old washing machine?
My old washing machine is still here. We're
Right.
having the new one delivered on Wednesday, but I have paid for them to take it away. It's
Okay,
I
that's a
am
shame.
using John Lewis. I am asking them to take it away, but they recycle all the bits. So I double
Okay.
checked again. I
Well,
didn't want somebody just to drag it off. Yes, I could probably take it apart and make a fire pit, but that would be another project,
oh
Jamie.
no, no, no. So we had a washing machine incident thing last year. I think it was last year, possibly the year
Kind of
before.
remember that.
And I stripped. Oh, so
Stripped
what
it,
happened?
didn't you?
Stripped it down. So what happened with our washing machine was it was clatterbanging and not happy. And I looked on for the error codes online because you can do that now. Saw the error codes E30, E33, and E something else. It wasn't happy. Circuit main motherboard thing, circuit board
Gone.
died. And I found somebody. So as is a Zanussi, we've only ever had Zanussi. My mom had only ever had Zanussi. But I'm going to go back a sec because I remember my mom's first washing machine. And when I say first, the only one I can remember, the earliest one I can remember, that was probably 2 foot square, probably as high as a kitchen worktop,
Hmm.
with a round hole in the middle
Hmm.
at the top that you lift up. But
Yep.
it had got at the back of it, it had got this concertina sort of fold down mangle thing that you unclipped something on the end, you did something with, and the rollers were some sort of hard rubber, marbleized blue and white. Does this ring a bell?
Yes, it rings a bell.
There
Very
you
similar
go.
to my
So I
mum's
remember
original
that.
one.
I remember my fingers getting dangerously close to it
Close.
because you do, because you're little.
Yeah.
And I remember it being pushed up against the draining board of the sink. And actually, it was at the cottage. It was before the mill. So I was 1975, 9. Oh, yeah, 9 or younger. Um, it spewed out I think the rollers were electric. I don't remember winding anything. I think they were electric, and it sort of went through there and it
Mm.
spewed it out onto the
Hmm.
draining board of the sink.
That's right.
And then it went, my mum would put it into a bucket and then carry it outside to on the washing line. So that was great. Anyhow, my washing machine thing was, I went online, looked at the prices of them, and I'm the budget end, obviously, Jill. Sorry, I know that. Part of my life is being as cheap as possible, and it's
Yeah,
doing my head good. It's doing my head good, so I don't mind. And I've done all the expensive things, not all of them, but I've done a lot of expensive things and whatever. And I found somebody in the next couple of villages away was selling the same washing machine. I was just like, oh, no new instructions, no new washing machine to learn, none of this to go through. It's 2 years old, young couple. They'd had it in their, they don't, and they'd moved back to their parents before they move on to somewhere
yeah,
else. And they just wanted to get rid of the washing machine, 80 quid. So we get
perfect.
there and we plug it in and have a look, and it comes with error codes. And the guy says, "Oh," and so he said, "Look, I can't let you take it." He said, "Because I don't think it's gonna." I said, "Well, look, I'll risk it if you knock a bit off." And he said, "Have it for 60 if you want." So 60 quid. There you go. It's my problem. If something goes. So that was the four of us in the house, £15 each. Bought it back, chucked it in the hole, connected it all up. Wifey comes back from work and she's just like, "So, washing machine, what's happening about it?" There you go. That's it. Can't you see it's cleaner and it's a little bit newer and there's no bits worn off where your fingers have touched this
Mm.
part of the whatever. And she said, "You bought the same one?" And I said, "Yeah, exactly the same one, 60 quid." And it's just like brilliant. The old one, I stripped it down for parts, and this shows that I know men are mad sometimes with saving things, and you've got a bit of that, which is great.
I have.
I've got a bag full of bits, and there's big springs, huge springs inside there. I mean, they're 6 inches long, big black things, and they're to stop it from doing what
Yeah.
yours did,
Yes.
bouncing around
Walk
the room.
across
So
the
you might
floor.
you might have a spring issue. But there's some great nuts and bolts in there. There's some great, wonderful nuts and bolts and things in there. The wiring loom's rubbish. Don't try saving it for the wire. But the nuts and bolts are fantastic. And I've got some, the legs on the bottom, the feet.
Yeah. Oh, you've unscrewed those and used them.
Yes, because guess where they
Perfect.
might be going?
On a table or a bench or a yes, on your new bench.
On
You
the
see,
bench.
we've come full circle.
They exactly. When you said, "Can we just mention this?" I was just like, "Hang on, you've got no idea." Yes, if I put those feet on the bottom of the bench, I can have two of them adjustable.
Yeah.
So I
Fantastic.
so I'll be able to, because my concrete floor in my workshop's horrendous.
Mm.
So I'll be able to get a spanner underneath and just level up the bench so that it stays still.
Fantastic. I mean, ours
What a
is
washing
so old,
machine.
Jamie, when you're talking about error codes, ours doesn't even have a screen that shows us error codes, the current
Oh,
washing machine.
oh, well,
So I
well
wouldn't have
done.
any, I wouldn't have
Well
any
done.
idea. Ours is just a basic dial. You set the dial, you press start, away it goes. It doesn't tell you how long it's got left to do and all the rest of it. It tells you if it's on spin, rinse and spin, finished.
Yeah.
That's our current one. And I'm not kidding. I mean, looking at some of the reviews as well, I was just like, I'm going to need to have a computer science degree to learn how to use the
I
washing
know.
machine, or Jackson's going to have to come home and show me how to do it, or I'm going to spend hours reading an instruction. And if it takes me that long, I stand no chance of Clive putting the washing in and knowing what to do. So watch this space. That's
I
the
look forward to
saga.
pictures on
Yes,
Instagram.
yes,
People
there will
must be
be some
following your
pictures.
Instagram because your Instagram's wonderful. How's the weaving going?
Oh, great. I mean, I haven't done
Oh,
any because I haven't put any to soak at, over
okay.
Christmas. Because again, weaving teaches you patience because you have to put the willow into soak well before you want to do anything. But that's definitely something I want to do more of this year. And the goal, and that was the other idea, looking at
Go
your
on.
boards. I knew there was another thing, watching yours. I loved those chopping boards and everything that you make. And I'm thinking, right, if I have a little Christmas stall next year to sell all my Christmas trees that I've made and my reindeer,
Yeah,
which should be pretty good by then I
yeah.
could have some of Jamie's chopping boards and we can sell those as well, all at
I'll
the
come
same
down.
events. Well,
Yes.
we might be coming up, it might be wherever we're going to
Oh,
have it,
okay.
but but
Oh, the glass centre within our place. We have a Christmas
so
fair.
oh right, okay, that sort of thing.
You know
So
what?
thinking,
You know what? When the glass fair has a Christmas fair, I've got a workshop. We just put a table up in my workshop, and you could sell from my space.
yeah, So
Doesn't no cost then.
there you go. There's an idea going forward. But I saw those chopping boards and thought, oh, they are beautiful. Absolutely. And
That's
again,
yeah,
recycling wood. So it's
that
making people
would
think very differently about what they can do. So I'm very excited about that. One
oh,
final thing.
go on.
Sorry, did you want to say?
That I just yeah, Lucy's board that I did at the end of that video was lovely to do. It was lovely to get back into, but that was sort of 4 hours,
Yeah.
three or
Yeah, no,
four
no, I can
hours,
imagine.
hard work.
No, just the
Cut
plain
chop the
ones are
video down, but
fantastic.
the wood planted in around 1660.
Wow.
You just don't see wood like that. I've got one more piece of wood that's as exceptional as that.
They're
And I
beautiful.
probably won't come across any. Well, I might do. We'll see.
They're absolutely beautiful. But again, talking about our podcast, I was on chatting to my coaching friends, and we were laughing about how for Paula we'd mentioned, Kevin Hollings, and it's like sponsorship without any sponsorship. And when we mentioned Kevin Hollings' bespoke kitchens on our last podcast, and you
Yes.
said, well, lovely Jess Harvey, no relation, interestingly. Jess said, well, I'm always very happy for you to mention me on your podcast. So I'll sponsor you without sponsoring you. In fact, you'll be sponsoring me. And I was like, this is working the reverse, but yes, okay, Jess, I'll mention you. So she's a coach. She's a great coach. She works with women. She comes from the finance world, so helps on that side of things. Her name is Jess Harvey, and she's the Female Mentoring Alliance. If you look for her on Instagram, she's one of the coaches that, we have a little coaching group
Mhm.
each month. But it was funny how she said, oh, Jill, well, that's fine if you want to sponsor me on your podcast. Hang on, this is meant to be working the other way.
But it doesn't, Jill. It isn't that. It's
No, it's
sharing,
not.
and it's
Correct.
sharing. And so I've just quickly. I'm sorry to keep quickly. I had a notification from my daughters of the day. All sorts of hoo-ha was going on the WhatsApp chat, and I was just like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" Dad, somebody's pinched your video. Somebody's pinched your videos, and they're doing them on their channel. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." So I had a look, and yes, they've used my videos on their channel, but there's no watermark on my videos. So there you go. And I went on there and I said to the person who page it is, I'm happy for you to use them. Credit would
Credit
be
me.
credit. Please credit me if you can. It's either a bot or somebody who doesn't speak English. I don't know what, or just is just rude. Just put a little heart on it. Didn't hasn't put credit on them, hasn't it? But I went on to them and I commented myself saying these are my videos
Yep.
and I'm happy to share them. And I'm happy for, and if you want to see some more of my work, you'll see it here. So I've done that. And actually, that's given me, that's given me
Well,
more subscribers, more people commenting. So it
it's a
makes the
different
world
way
go
of
round.
approaching a
It
different way
is.
of approaching it.
It
So if
is.
there's anybody else who'd like a mention on our podcast, by all means, let us know and we'll give
Well,
you a mention.
well, I'm going to mention Darren then.
Okay, go ahead.
Darren is someone I follow on YouTube. His videos are 20, 25 minutes long. He's a coppice worker. His channel is able to ABEL gap T0 able to, and he doesn't do basket weaving. He does hazel coppicing. He's got his own woodland, 5 or 6
Oh,
acres. He cuts the trees down. He tells you what he's doing. He puts music on his videos. They are a good chill out. He catches up on the dates, so it's probably over the last week or two. He tells you what he's making. He makes hurdles. He does pea sticks. He does some farm machinery. He does firewood. He does charcoal. He does lots, and he's been to my workshop, and
oh,
he's a lovely guy.
fantastic.
So Able
Fantastic.
to is going to be my
I'll
recommendation
Okay, I'll find him, and
for
if he's
for
on
this week.
Instagram, tag me. Yes, this week. So it's Jess Harvey, the Female Mentoring Alliance, and Darren, and you say you don't know, so it's his
It's
channel is
Able
called
to,
Able To.
yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
coppice worker. He's brilliant.
Oh, I can't wait to see it because that's sort of the next line of thing I'm looking at doing in the garden, and
And
looking at hazel for hazel. So it's another job. But there
and
we go.
it's and so and his thing is not about making lots of money. His is about
Hmm.
healthcare, mental health. It's
Yeah,
about doing things. It's about being out in nature. You, he's
I'd love
brilliant.
him. I'm going to watch
You
him.
will. You're welcome.
Jamie, thank you very much. That's the first one of
Thank
this year
you.
done. Thank you to everybody who listening to us, to our lovely regulars. I hope you've got a couple of things out of there. I will keep you updated on the washing machine, which is due to arrive on Wednesday, and I have got plenty of washing stacked up, ready to go in it and see what happens. So if you like the podcast, by all means, share it. They do pop up now on my YouTube channel. So I have shared across to GillHB-LIFE in capitals, the life bit. It does come up on there, so you can find the podcast on YouTube. It's obviously not filmed, it's still just audio. You have to think about filming it, Jamie, and then it'll go up. But it links to YouTube, or it's on any other major
I,
platform.
just quickly, I was going to say, is it worth me filming it and putting it on my and me doing it for my other channel again? So there's a audio version on yours and video on my other channel. I wouldn't put it on my main channel,
No,
but
no.
we started, didn't we, doing that?
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
just so
So
much. People don't realise how much
we'll
work
talk
it is.
about it.
Go
We'll
on.
talk about it. All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
That's the
Sorry,
one.
Jill.
So bye, everyone. Bye, Jamie. Have a good 3 weeks, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.